Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? So, today is a question and answer, but I'm hoping this is kind of a special question and answer because I'd like to go over like the most common questions and answers. So, if somebody is looking to get into lucid dreaming, I want them to be able to look at this and be like, hey, like this answers most of the questions that I had. And, an hour-long video isn't like a little bit, so hopefully we can get through a lot of really good questions and answers. Let me know. One of my screens is showing this is like really, really choppy, and I don't know why. If that's a how does it look for the people watching? Is it super bad, or does it look like normal, or is normal super bad? I took out most of the delay on chat, so if chat types anything, it should pop up relatively quickly. It is very choppy. I don't know what's causing that. Let me think. Arrow, did you turn the TV off all the way? Arrow? What's up with that? Yeah, it looks really bad on one of my screens. I'm thinking I might actually have to switch to another. The audio's pretty stable. What's the point of the video if you can't see my beautiful face? Yeah, that's crazy. Like, this is the normal setup that I have, so I'm not sure what's happening. I'm going to try something, and we'll see how this works real fast. Is that better? Is that worse? Working for everyone. Does that change anything? At least it looks better on my end. I cannot see the video very well. No change at all. Curtains. Okay. Let me double check. This might take a second. Technical difficulties. I'm sorry, guys. The audio's right, the video's good. There's an update like every 2 seconds. That's not good. All right, I disconnected from my Wi-Fi because I feel like that's been struggling. I think I might need a new router. Yeah. So let's see. That's still terrible. Yeah, we might just be looking at doing a terrible looking stream. That's not what I was hoping for today. Can you guys hear my child talking in the background? That's another question. No answer. Still might not have come through. Comments should show up. You can hear it only slightly. Okay. Yeah, he's in a nap and he's playing in his room. So yeah. All right. So I guess this is what we're working with today. This is 20 FPS. Oh my gosh. That's like, what is that? It's like 13 more FPS than we had a second ago, right? Oh, 12 more. Okay. So sorry about it looking bad. I honestly don't know what's up. It looked better earlier today. Cause I can see it on my computer and it shows that it looks worse. So I don't know what that is. Yep. All right. So let's get into it. To start with, if you guys want to, instead of typing out the questions that you usually would type out, like questions you have, try to type out like questions that like you think a beginner, like that you've seen beginners ask a lot of times, and we'll start going through those. And as we go through more and more, then we will, as we go through, it just wasn't moving. I think that's why it was smooth. I just have to sit really still. There, I look so much better. What does lucid mean? Okay, that's a good one. I like the question. What's the best technique? What's the best mantra? All right, perfect. All right, we'll start with these three. What does lucid mean? All right, lucid is from an old word. I don't remember that. I don't remember exactly what the old word was. I think it was just straight up lucid from Latin, but I could be wrong. But it means to illuminate, like to put light on something, and usually it also means aware. And so this idea is to have aware dreaming. Now, it's kind of a misnomer because lucid dreaming actually means to be aware of the fact that you're dreaming when you're dreaming. So you can have a dream that's very lucid, but not be a lucid dream. So to go for things that are actually more aware. What's hands? All right. Is the sound back? I actually disconnected from the Wi-Fi for that, and I was hoping it would work better, but now I'm back connected. Can you guys understand me now? Yes. Okay. Good. All right. So then let's talk about best technique. I don't know what you guys heard before. Yeah. So best technique, I would say long term. Any dream yoga has best results because they've been doing it for longer. A lot of people don't like it because it's spiritual. A lot of people don't like it because the way that a lot of the practices are put out, it's a lot of day work, it's a lot of night work. It's actually just a lot of work overall. If you want a technique that's probably going to work in the next 2 weeks, mild has the highest studied chances. And if you want a technique that is going to just work and you don't want to have to worry about the whys or the hows, whatnot, I would say SSILD is kind of your best bet. Now, all of these are going to end up with dream recall being kind of a problem. Like you're going to need some dream recall. It looks better now. Yeah, I don't know what happened. What's the best mantra? Now, if we're talking about just like straight up mantras, I like I'm dreaming because it works for me. And if it doesn't work as a mantra or whatever the heck it's supposed to work as, then it works really well for day residue. If that thought just gets into my dreams, it can make me lucid. But if you actually look up mantras, the way that we use them, I mean, a lot of people call auto suggestion a mantra, and it's not. So we're looking at an actual mantra, then a mantra would be something more spiritual. A mantra would be something that only you would actually know, or you and your teacher, that kind of thing. Yeah. How to lucid dream? Easy. Realize inside a dream that you're dreaming. Next question. But yeah, for the most part, how to lucid dream, we're going to say is we have a lot of techniques to teach people how to do it. For the most part, it's going to take time and effort, and you're going to have to raise your skill, and you're going to have to learn a little bit about how your mind works. So yeah, those 3 questions for now. It looks awesome now. Yeah, well, I mean, it's my face. So that actually is quite surprising. Any more questions? How about wild? Perfect. How about wild? So wild is not technically a technique. It is a method for lucid dreaming. It is going from waking life to sleeping life, whatever you want to call it, from awake to asleep without ever losing consciousness. So you'll be able to know for a fact that you're dreaming because you were just awake a second ago. You don't forget that transition period. Most people recommend wilding after some sleep. You wake up and you go back to sleep because there seems to be a barrier between awake and asleep. And that barrier seems to take away your consciousness, seems to take away your ability to remember things, your awareness, and all of these things. Since I have a question about mild, and what am I doing wrong? Since this month started, my mild practice is but like for real. I feel like I'm not going deep enough with it, and I drop from 1 to 2 a day to 2 a week. So Labach, you have close to 100 lucid dreams, yeah? Like you have 50 to 100? I can't remember exactly. Just answer that, and I'll move on to. I'll talk to you about what I call technique shuffle. I hear people say to not focus on a wild anchor, but I don't understand that. I either completely tune out something or focus on it intensely, so I have no idea how I'm supposed to wild. Now, 140. Okay. Yeah, so with wild, now that is like whenever you're eating and talking to somebody, how focused are you on what you're eating? Usually you go back and forth from focusing on one and attention on the other, and then swapping to attention on one and focus on the other. Now, whenever you're trying to fall asleep, focus, like actually focusing on something, seems to keep you awake. So you just want to lose no focus. You just have attention. And it's just slight attention. So if you're, like, let's say you're driving and you're eating. I eat when I drive a lot, right? It's a very common thing for me. I'm eating and I'm driving. I'm not thinking about what I'm eating very much. I'm just kind of like, because I don't want to get in a wreck. So that's the kind of attention we're talking about, just a tiny bit. Yeah, you're at 140 lucid dreams. Okay, so this is, I always call this area the technique shuffle, somewhere around 100 up to like 300 or 400, honestly. It's like, you know, the things to do to get lucid, right? You can get a lucid dream, you can get 2 lucid dreams, you can do a lot of things, and you'll have 4 or 5 lucid dreams this week, and then it'll stop for a week, and you're like, I don't, what? And so you can do like this like insane thing to make sure you get everything done, but that type of schedule is not, you know, recommended, and you can't keep it up forever. And then, you know, it's like, oh yay, I got 1 lucid a night for a month, but, you know, I also had no friends because I was, you know, staying away from people and doing all my techniques 24/7. So you have to try to figure out like what exactly is getting you lucid. Now the techniques, this is the big problem. This book's really good for any of those interested. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Dragon Reborn. Anyways, the problem is the techniques are trying to get you to a feeling. The techniques are trying to get you to the motions of doing something. And so whenever you've relied on the techniques and you haven't quite gotten the feeling like down, because you've only had it 100 times or so, 140 times, then what ends up happening is you really struggle to you really struggle to like find your own way. Like I say, from like 100 to like 300, they're in a technique shuffle. They're trying to figure out exactly what works. They know like a list of 50 things that work, but they're not sure like if they can cut any of them out. Like, I'll cut this one out and then it stops, and then I bring it back and it doesn't start up again, and then 2 weeks later it starts again. Like you're often like just trying to figure out exactly what it is. So I'd say focus more on feelings more than a strict regimen of exactly what you want to do. Now try every night, or at least 4 nights a week. But just try to like see what happens if you focus on feelings more. If you look at my how to effectively use techniques, I would recommend that that thread for you. It talks a lot about that. 5 Puff says, I hear people say not to focus on a while later. Oh wait, oops, I already read that one. In a previous dream stream, I do insert random activity for lucid dreaming. Like you think about your dreams when driving, jogging, etc. This is some basics for intent, right? So a lot of people, they visualize their lucid dream, and let's move this just. I want to get like, there we go, me in the middle. Yeah, much better. I'm worried that like it's gonna throw off the whole stream. So like, why do you do things, right? Like, if I make myself a sandwich, the intent is to eat it, and like while I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna eat this sandwich, and then you eat the sandwich, and you have like prospective memory, you have everything kind of like in there. It's like I intended to do something and I did it, right? It's like intended and did it. So why are you jogging, right? Now, when you're jogging, a lot of people are like, I'm jogging so that I can feel better about myself, or like so I can be healthier, or something like that. I mean, jogging is not the best for getting healthy, but it's better than nothing for the most part. Unless your knees are really bad, then it's bad. But anyways, so you're like, well, why am I doing this? And so instead of being like, I'm doing this so I can be healthy, just go out there and be like, I'm doing this so that I can lucid dream. And then while you're doing it and it gets rough, or you're like, oh, maybe I should quit, you're like, no, I need to lucid dream. It's just what would I say? It's just a focus. It's hard to understand if you don't understand how intent is set very well, and specifically your own intent. But yeah, like if you don't understand it, then I would say don't worry about doing it. Okay, what would you say is the best way to jump from 20 to 100 lucid dreams? I do mild, but not overly consistently due to enthusiasm. I can't do anything if you're not consistent. Like that's like, let's say you go to the gym, basketball analogy time. I need like a button so that I can press like have a basketball slide across. Yeah. So what would you say is the best way to jump from 20 to 100 lucid dreams? So let's say you went to the gym, right? Let's say you've played like 20 pickup games, and in each of them you've made 1 bucket, right? And you're like, hey, how do I make 100 buckets? And I'd be like, well, go play more pickup games. It's like, well, I'm not extremely enthusiastic about playing pickup games. There's not really much else to do other than be consistent at this point. The more consistent you are, the faster it's going to happen, especially if you've gotten 20. So you have a small idea of what works. So yeah, it's very important to just keep at it. Now, I say you need to make sure you know the difference between enthusiasm, motivation. And I changed the two a little bit from their original meanings. Enthusiasm in my mind is just a feeling, right? Motivation is my reasoning, right? So why do I want to lucid dream? For fun. So here's my biggest problem, and I think most people's biggest problem is that they want to lucid dream for fun. Spending 30 minutes to an hour every single day doing the techniques is not fun for them. So then it's like, well, I spent 6 months and I got 20 lucid dreams, and they're all about 1 to 5 minutes long. So maxed out, that's 5 times 20, math's hard, 100 minutes. 30 minutes a day, and you get 100 minutes after 6 months. That's not a great trade. And if you don't enjoy the 30 minutes a day, then you're really going to be struggling. And so you kind of have to manage your own enthusiasm, because if you run out of enthusiasm completely, it's going to be really difficult to do things, and it'll be hard to put any energy into it. So you want to be able to manage your own enthusiasm, figure out what things you do and don't do that increase your enthusiasm. If a technique is less effective, it's generally going to take more enthusiasm from you. But if a technique is too difficult, even if it's very effective, it can take a bunch of enthusiasm. So try to find a technique that you like, that works. If you can find a technique that you enjoy doing that actually works, then you don't need to worry about anything. You can just do it, and you'll just get better and better at it over years and years. The more tired you are, the easier you can do wild. No, not even a little bit. Like whenever you're tired, I mean, it depends. There's two types of tired. One is mentally tired and one's physically tired. Now, if you're physically exhausted, I would say yes. It's a little bit easier to do wild. So I would say things like basketball are going to help you to wild. Things like staying up too late, no. It's whenever you're mentally exhausted, your mental faculties are lowered. So your ability to pay a slight amount of attention, your ability to balance, your ability to remember what waking life is like, your ability to set intent, all of that will be lowered the more mentally tired you are. Labach says, you're right. Last month and month before, I was try-harding, LDing, and everything about it. Now I kind of got relaxed after getting 35 LDs in a month, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm doing the same thing. Yeah, it's going to be hard, because at this point, you know about what works, but you don't know exactly what works. I would really recommend talking with, let's see, I'd say Mizik, because I think Mizik has a closer practice to mine whenever it comes to something like this. Ask her what she does whenever, like, if she like hasn't been trying lucid dreaming for a bit, ask her what she does to get a lucid dream the night before. Like, I think you'd be amazed, because you'd probably think, oh, she's going to do like mild, she's going to visualize all her dreams. Most likely it's going to be something like, or at least for me, this is what it is. I think she does something similar, especially with dream recall. I know she does this. It's like you just kind of like gather your energy, and you're like, yeah, I'll put my energy towards dream recall, and then it happens, because you know the feeling behind the techniques. But if you don't know the feeling, and if you haven't done it enough, then it's going to be a struggle. Do I need to change the way of tech to make it work more efficiently? Now, you can do that. I'd say there's always a good argument to be made about changing techniques, and there's always a good argument to be made about staying consistent, right? It's really good to work on things that you're really good at, because you're good at them and they work better. It's always also really good to work on things that you're not good at, because then you can build up the problems that you have. Like, you can cover your weaknesses if you learn that, right? Like, if I'm drawing, no, actually, I don't know enough about drawing to say something like that. So let's say if I'm playing basketball and I'm really good at offense, it's cool to play a lot of offense. But if I'm bad at defense, it's going to help me a lot, especially if my goal is to get more buckets in, or if my goal is to just get more playing time. It's going to help me a lot to get better at defense. Is visualization a strong way of improving dream control? It depends on the person. I know a lot of people that say they can visualize whatever they want, but then the second they get into a dream, they can't do any dream control. I've always had a lot of visualization in my life, but I'm not the best at dream control. I've always been relatively okay at it. So I don't know. Like, I'm like, I can do, like, if you imagine something right now, I could go do it in a dream, but that's not what I would call like the best way of dream control. So about dream journaling, do I just set my alarm to 90 minutes after sleeping, and when I wake up, I take notes and repeat the thing for the whole night? Does that make sense? It does, and it doesn't. So REM periods, which, I mean, usually waking up after a REM period is going to be the easiest time to remember a dream, right? And REM periods, everyone says, oh, they happen about every 90 minutes. But then you actually look at a graph and you see, oh, yeah, it's nothing like that. Like, it's like what we knew about dreams whenever we started saying 90 minutes versus what we know now is like a lot's changed. If you're going to set an alarm every 90 minutes, I think at that point you could really be very tired if you're not getting enough sleep. Even if you're getting 7.5, 8 hours of sleep, you might need extra because of those wakings. I generally recommend 2 hours at the beginning of the night if you're well rested. If you're not well rested, 3 or 4 or 5 hours before doing any wake back to beds. And if you can, instead of setting an alarm, obviously, I think that intent is better, but I think that doing an alarm is better than nothing. But you might want to cut out how many you do if you're using an alarm, only doing 1 or 2, waking during the night, and then setting some intent or whatever it is you're trying. So I think that like a lot of it's going to be a balance, and it's just going to depend on how you feel. You know, if you want to try it every 90 minutes, I tried it every 10 minutes. You know, and it, you know, I didn't have anything to do the next day, so I was able to try it like 3 days in a row and watch my recall go down the crapper because I was wearing myself out. I was practicing not remembering. It was a lot of things like that. So if you want to try 90 minutes, go for it. Make sure that you have enough sleep. Make sure that you don't go drive if you haven't slept enough. Make sure you don't ruin, you know, like some finals or something like that. So I mean, you're just gonna have to measure what you can do and how, you know, because it's gonna have an effect. Now it may not have an effect. I sleep about 9 hours, so tiredness is not a problem. But well, it might not be, but it might be. Like if you start doing this, you might need more sleep. And I don't know how old you are. I forget. I know you. I'm pretty sure, but I forget how old you are because 9 hours of sleep. I mean, if you're like 13, 9 hours of sleep is supposed to be the normal. Do you repeat with smile? Do you repeat "I'm dreaming" while trying to maintain the feeling of lucidity without dropping, or do you quickly alternate or practice the realization moment? Sleep and unaware awareness. Now that is definitely not like a beginner question. But I would say I always repeat "I'm dreaming" anytime I do any technique ever. I've done that the whole time. I've never quite. I hear people say that they struggle to do it. I've never heard anyone say, or I've heard a lot of people say that they struggle to repeat "I'm dreaming" while doing other things, and that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't like jive with how my brain works. Just repeating "I'm dreaming" during any technique makes sense to me, and it carries with it like a calm feeling of being present. And I've practiced that feeling of being present before, and I've practiced the realization moment of. So yeah, asleep and unaware over to aware. Yeah, because that would be like a breakdown of how smile works. That's all I do is practice just that moment of realizing that it's that's a dream. Like I said, not extremely beginning. You're from Dream Coffee, but without some stuff. What's the most interesting thing? I mean, that's going to depend on who I'm talking to. Like, I don't know. Like, I read books in lucid dreams all the time. I look at maps all the time. I find stuff like that to be super interesting because I can just go and steal a story from the dream. But I mean, every dream is a story anyways, so it's less interesting when I put it that way. You know, I go and I look at art. I talk to dream characters. I ask them about their lives. I've asked dream characters how to get lucid, all sorts of things like that. So I don't know. So it's a lot of things. You know, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've been relatively consistent through the whole time. So it's a lot. It's many dreams. How much time does it take for wild? Or it depends. Now, I would say if you are trying multiple times a night, which is what my recommendation is to try it a few times a night, if you can gather that intent. Then I would recommend 5 minutes. Try for 5 minutes and then stop. So if you can try it for 5 minutes and then stop and be like, okay, well, it didn't work. If you're trying it once a night, then maybe try it for 10 minutes. If you're trying it during a nap or at the end of the night, whenever you've already gotten plenty of sleep and it's not going to destroy your sleep schedule getting more, then try for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. It's just one of those things where you kind of have to balance it. Like, it's not going to be it's not going to be something like, oh, wild always takes this amount of time. But sometimes it might take more than others. I struggle with differentiating between visualization or hypnagogic. So I always just say to get to a dream. I don't count hypnagogic. Have you ever messed with time dilation? Yes, I have. Usually I just go to a place that I can't wake up from, and then I spend a long time there, and then I wake up. Usually it's like 15 hours of what feels like time of me making decisions, and it's some sort of deception, but I don't know what it is. I can't see the seams. I can't see where it breaks apart. I would say time dilation is one of those things that is underplayed, because I don't think it's the most. I don't know. Like I feel like people are like, it's a deception. And then Omni is overplayed. Everyone's like, they're Omni. Like, it's the greatest thing in the world. Whereas time dilation is pretty cool. As soon as someone starts getting into thousands of years, I start thinking more of like the ideas that people say about false memories and more of deceiving themselves. I like whenever you deceive yourself so even you can't see the seams. But yeah. How do I become lucid? What is the thing that usually makes you lucid? Or is there a feeling you get in the dream that you've connected with? Mild practice and just remember when you enter the dream. A lot of times I just realize it as the dream forms. Like, I'd say it's almost like a wild where I won't lose all my awareness. And then as the dream forms, I'm like, aha, I'm in a dream. Other times, that doesn't look great when it pops up. Other times, I'll just be like walking around and I'll get lucid as soon as like the dream slows down a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Just a lot of things. Pretty much anything that I've used Smile for. Like something doesn't make sense, my mind will be like, try to explain it away. And if it's in that process of trying to explain it away, I get lucid from now. Including time spent in time dilation, how old? It doesn't logically make sense. So it depends. Because like obviously I get 8 hours of sleep every night. So if I'm adding the time in time dilation, am I also taking away the nights that I don't remember anything, like the first 20 years of my life, where I would remember like 4 or 5 dreams a week that were only like 20 to 30 minutes long? So does that time count, or does that time count as negative? There's a lot of logistical stuff. I'd say probably if you count the time spent in lucid dreams, I would say it's added. Oof, that's hard. Hold up. This last year, it's added a third of a year, at least, and if I don't count time dilation, and I haven't done time dilation that much, so probably a year over the last 10 years, or maybe 2 years over the last 10 years. But again, is it like, does it not count if it's the 8 hours at night? So at that point, it would just be probably 2 years of dream time. And then like, does it not count if I'm not lucid? There's a lot of stuff in that. I dreamt that I had a lucid dream tonight and I asked, how do I get back easily? And as a response, I woke into a false awakening and I really felt something really weird. That's not a question. But yeah, feelings are cool in dreams. You'll feel a lot of crazy things. Whenever I do Smile, do you try to connect each dream sign to dreaming, or just the concept of dreaming with dreaming? I go for, right now I'm doing very specific things. So let's see, for instance, so like last night, I was in a building and I opened a door, and the door should have gone to the outside, but it went to the inside, right? It's a very common thing that happens in dreams. A lot of times people don't recognize it. Usually I recognize it in dreams. So I'm connecting that feeling. Whenever I open a door, there's something that goes through my mind that says, this should be opening to the outside. When I open it, I'm like, oh, this doesn't go to the outside, it goes to the inside. That thought right there is what I'm targeting. So that the next time that thought happens in a dream, I will realize I'm dreaming. Like I said, Smile is very targeted. It's not vague. It is connecting a thought or an idea or a sight or something like that, a feeling, to dreaming, to knowing dream immediately. Yep. All right. So I actually did get a question from someone recently. They said whenever you lucid dream, does that mean that you get 1 8-hour dream every night? And so I think that shows that's like, I think it's a very beginner question because obviously you go in and out of different phases of sleep and dreams throughout the night. I think all of them have dreams or dreamlike experiences, but they're not all going to be 5 senses type dreams. Like mine seem to mostly be, but I think that's because a little bit of how I've directed them in the past. I don't know. So I think that in general, there's going to be at least some time where you are like, I think NREM 1 and NREM 2 or whatever they call those nowadays, they have this time where you're asleep technically, because I mean it's a sleep thing, but you actually still feel your body. You still feel like you're awake. And I think a lot of times when people think they don't sleep the whole night, they're actually just in NREM 1 and NREM 2 the whole night, like kind of bouncing back and forth between awake and asleep. So a lot of those things that I wouldn't call dreams actually happen while you're asleep. So, I mean, I wouldn't call them dreams. I would say you're still awake, but technically you're still asleep. And I think the night is filled with stuff like that. And you just don't have great memory of how it all works. Let's see, where am I at? What does SMILE stand for? Oh, wait. Is it just now or was it always like that? It's kind of both. I've done a lot of techniques over the years. This is one that I kind of did without thinking about it. I would just notice something crazy and I would do that. And I didn't know exactly what it was. And it wasn't well thought out. It was just like if something appeared like over and over and over and over again in my dreams, I would do that. SMILE stands for Sensei's Mnemonic Induction of Lucid Experiences. Did you experience time dilations, like counting inside the dream and woke up and then comparing the time difference? A couple times. There was one time I went into a dream and it was a wild, and I counted 2 minutes of time and I woke up and it was an hour later. There was another time where I did the exact opposite, where I went into the wild and I kept track of all the things. And I was like, okay, this was 2 minutes, this was 3 minutes. And I was like, trying to keep track of it. And I woke up and it was 2 minutes later. But for the most part, it generally seems to stay about even with normal life. Struggling to sleep. Would sleeping pill affect awareness or whatever, or maybe shift REM periods? Yeah, all sorts of things. Melatonin, for me specifically, makes me very lethargic. We talk about sleep pressure and we talk about like the brain fog that you get. Anything with melatonin in it has always given me that, which makes it very hard to get lucid. It makes it very hard to do techniques when I wake up. It makes it hard for me to write in my dream journal in the morning. Will it affect your shift REM periods and stuff? Yes, I imagine it would. But I also don't care about when my REM periods are. And so it'll have an effect. I just don't know that effect will be negative or positive based on your experience. I'll reword my question. When you practice a dream scene before bed, do you see how long you can maintain unbroken awareness, alternate between unaware, aware, unaware, aware? Let's see. So I don't do SMILE before bed. That's probably you do SMILE throughout the I don't see how long I can maintain unbroken awareness. I don't see how that's very helpful or effective. It's more like the alternating between unaware, aware. Like I target the thing, right? Because my idea isn't, I'm not trying to set up a whole scene. I'm trying to connect 2 thoughts together. Those 2 thoughts are the dream sign and knowing that it's a dream. So I try to imagine those 2 things together and to where they become one thing. So whenever one happens, the other one happens. I do not believe that time is an illusion. I've always thought that was not a very good belief. 2 questions. Ever tried achieving wild omni long term? Yes. 3 days is the longest I can get wild omni. If I try a wild for one entire night, then the next day I'm kind of a little, I wouldn't say tired. It's more like my willpower is spent whenever I'm trying to go to sleep. And so I can do it again. And then the 3rd night or the 4th night, I'll get to bed and it's like I can't muster the willpower to try it again. Do you think it's wild omni is realistic option compared to dialed? It depends on where you draw the line between wild and dialed, because a lot of people would call getting lucid right as the dream takes off as wild, and like Flo supposedly had that where he would fall asleep and he would lose most of his awareness, but not quite all of it. And then whenever a dream started, it would trigger him to be lucid. But I don't know. Also, Flo kind of lost a little bit of his credibility because he got super, 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 super spiritual. And whenever someone does that, I start to struggle with not so much believing them. I think that he still seems like he believes everything he's saying. I just don't know if what he is experiencing is something that I can trust because it's going through his lens of spiritual stuff before it even gets to me. Awesome, that clear stuff makes sense too. And it also works the same way with people that are super, super science based. They have this whole idea of exactly, they have the whole idea of exactly what science must be happening. And so then they'll tell you, oh, and then I entered my REM period. And I'm like, did you? I don't know. Did you? Were you hooked up to like a brain scan? Probably not. So is that what happened? So I have to, like, I try to believe what most people say. But I don't believe it is what they say, if that makes sense, right? If somebody comes up to me and tells me that they saw an angel, I'm not going to be like, I don't believe you. But I might be like, I believe that you saw an angel, but I don't think that makes it for sure an angel. Smiles like next time I see character that appears, I'm probably sleeping. It is not intention. It's not like the next time I do this, this happens. It's not quite intention. It's mnemonic. So the difference would be, let's go ahead and use my whiteboard over here. Uh-oh. You can see that a little too much there. Lower this bad boy down. Oh yeah. Can I lower down too? So great. Now, how well can you see this? Move this. Oh no. I don't want to see that light. All right. Oh, you can see that so well. This is an S, right? This is the squiggly line. This is a snake. This is a lot of different things, right? Come up with a bunch of different ideas whenever you see it. That is because it has been connected in your mind to those things. This has become connected to the sound, or it's become connected to, a snake or whatever, what have you. Smile, happy snake. Anyways, so because it's mnemonically connected, I don't have, and my kids don't learn it this way either. I've never seen any kid learn it this way. They don't say, the next time I see S, I will remember. They connect these two ideas, S and S, to where they are no longer one. They're no longer two different ideas. They're just one idea. That whenever this pops up, I see S. And it gets, to be more than just that. Because if I say, smile. This is, oh, you can't see that. Darn. Oh, now you really can't see that. Oof. Let's move it over. Get over here. The stupid thing has chalk on it. 3-year-olds, man, they just put things everywhere. Chalk on my markers. Like, why is that even needed? All right. So if I see this, I say smile. Not only is it connected to smile, but it's connected to all of these lines. That's a lot of lines. Because this is connected to this is connected to m, this is connected to I, this is connected to all, and then that is an E, which you don't even pronounce in this, but it's connected to it. Because if I put smil, you might not even think smile. But anyway, you put it all together, and it is mnemonically connected to the idea of smiling, right? So that I don't have to say, ooh, the next time I see smile, I'll remember to smile, So instead of connecting this right here, I am connecting a thought weep, weep, weep. Or like an item in a dream that I see a lot. Or I'm connecting a person in a dream. Or like I'm connecting uh-oh, I lost you. There we go. Or I'm connecting like, I'm going to do a female in this one so that I can have just a female stick figure. Okay, I'm not saying only females can wear dresses. Like a feeling in your stomach. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I feel like this in my stomach whenever I'm in a dream. And I connect this idea to, oh, you can't see that, man. Yeah, I need this thing to back up a bit. Over to dreams. This is now just a dream. So whenever I feel that, whenever I see this person, whenever I think that thing, whenever I see that item, I know it's a dream. Instead of having to try to use intent. Now, obviously, anytime I do anything or choose to do anything or try to do anything, I'm doing intent. This is less intent. This is more like, I would say, flashcards or studying. This is like actually like planning and preparing for a test. Now, there is intent behind it, but intent is behind everything. So it's really hard to say that intent is the important part. Let me just, all right. So let's go ahead and swap back our. Okay. James Scott. I don't know who you are still. I'm going to go ahead and bring this bad boy back up. James Scott says, I'm having trouble dream journaling because every way back to bed I wake up disoriented and weirdly in a dreamy mindset. Because of this, my mind isn't in the right place and I can't seem to, I only see one, have the will to DJ, or two, do anything I want. So there's two problems here. Obviously, one, you don't feel great. You wake up and you're tired, you're disoriented. So instead of being like, I need to get up and dream journal 7,000 words, I would say you need to focus on what you can do. Because as long as you say, I can't do it, like I wake up and I'm just like, I can't do that. That's actually going to be true. And the second you say, I can at least sit up. I can at least take a deep breath and gather my mind. I can rub my hands together. I can do a burpee. I can do something. And then that thing will give you a little bit more awareness. And when that gives you a bit more awareness or a little more presence or a little less brain fog or any of that, then you can do the next thing. So that's what I would focus on, is try to figure out what can you do in that. Because you're acting more like your subconscious than yourself, but you are actually the one in charge. You're just not, you don't have as many options as you usually do. So you need to figure out what options you do have. What headphones do I have? Oh, I don't even know. I got that on them. I got them for Christmas. I don't know. You're saying Oreo? That's not. I don't think James Scott is Oreo. So let's see. We got more questions. What other questions do I have in my head? I've answered this one a lot. I think it's really important. And it's, what do I need to do in order to lucid dream? And I think that this is answered correctly and incorrectly a lot. Like, people are like, yo, you need a dream journal. Dream journaling is really helpful for lucid dreaming, but you don't need it. You need to do mild. Mild is very helpful for lucid dreaming. You don't need it. I don't think you need anything for lucid dreaming. So I think it's important for people to realize that all of these things are just wants. These are things that can increase the chances for lucid dreaming, but you don't need to do them. If something is really, really like making lucid dreaming difficult for you, right? You're like, I just cannot for the life of me dream journal. It's like trying to figure out an alternative that you can do, or just drop it, because it can be replaced. All of these things can be replaced. Instead of, like, dream journaling is really just to keep, like, obviously it's nice to have them written down. That's nice. But the short-term effects are just attention on dreams, actually spending time and putting attention on your dreams. So instead of dream journaling, why don't you just tell your brother or your sister or your parents about your dreams. My son dream journals, but usually he dream journals things that happened days ago, because whenever he wakes up, he tells me his dreams, and then he'll dream journal them later, and his dream recall is getting a lot better. So, just to keep it alive, what do you think is the most important fundamental for lucid dreaming? That's hard, because it's going to depend on where you're at. When I started lucid dreaming, I had some dream recall. I had most of my dreams, I was present and actively aware in them and making decisions in them. I just didn't know it was a dream. So it's hard for people to, like, it's hard for me to be like, oh, you need awareness, or you need presence, or you need memory or recall. I would say that of the people that I meet, most of them are lacking on dream recall. But that even with that, it's more like they're lacking on trying to get, like, they need to be more excited about their dreams, and not just excited, like interested. Like they actually have to have interest in their dreams. So if there's like a fundamental for lucid dreaming, it would be actually caring or being interested in your dreams. If you're not interested in your dreams, I don't know why people want to lucid dreams if they're not interested in dreams. It's a little confusing to me. Now, I would always choose a lucid dream over a non-lucid dream, but that's different to me. To me, that's like the difference between, I would rather travel to, the Congo and research it rather than watch a movie about the Congo, In the past days, I remember the past dreams that I had like some months ago. Is that a good sign? I mean, anytime you're remembering more dreams, or dreams are coming in your mind that are specifically yours, not just other people's dreams or your idea of what you want your dreams to be like, I'd say it's a good sign. Again, it's attention to your dreams. It's interest in your dreams that will help you long term, not just short term. I need some music in here sometime. I just don't know what to pick for music. I don't like music without words. Yeah, so other things I hear, let's see, beginners ask, is wild easier than mild? There's about 10 minutes left. Is wild easier than dialed? And there's a lot of differences between wild and dialed, so I'm just going to go through the beginner answer on this. And that is that I consider wild to be like dunking a basketball. I've explained this a lot. Let me just go ahead and block that user. So yeah, I consider wild to be dunking and dialed to be the interstellar theme repeat. Dialed to be shooting a basketball. Now, it doesn't matter how tall or short you are, you can probably shoot a basketball. It doesn't matter how high you can jump, you can probably shoot a basketball and it will go in eventually. If you are not tall enough, or if you cannot jump high enough, wild is going to be very difficult. So some people are born very, very tall. I'm not extremely tall. I'm 6'1". I was like 186 centimeters. So I can dunk if I'm in good shape. I cannot dunk if I haven't played basketball for 3 months, So I think it's a perfect analogy for it, because what ends up happening is like, well, is wild really easy? It's like, well, if I'm like 6'9", it's easy. It's very easy. I've seen people that are 6'9" that are, overweight and that haven't played in forever and can barely jump, but they can dunk. So it's the same thing with wild, right? Like some people, they're just taller. And I've seen people 6'1" is not tall for basketball. In basketball, 6'1" is relatively short. I mean, if you look at the pros, there's like 10 guys that are 6'1", and they can all jump way higher, way better than I can. And usually they're point guards. I play down low. Anyway, so it's going to depend on that. Now, with wild, I have practiced and practiced and practiced. I can jump really, really high as far as the wild goes, right? Like I know how to wild. And so it's really nice. I don't need to go and get my shot on. I don't need to go and, work a lot on a bunch of things because I'm in shape and I can do a wild relatively easy. But with shooting, if you haven't shot for a long time, it can be really difficult. You want to keep like practicing your shot all the time. And again, so like it's everyone's like, oh, it's about odds. Like, so I don't want to do dialed because it's gambling, or not gambling, but it's random. Now, odds is not random. Everything in the world works on odds. Odds is the opposite of random. Random would be you don't know whether or not it's going to happen. If I do 1,000 nights and there's a 50% chance for me to lucid dream every single night, it's going to be about 500, right? If I am too short to dunk or can't jump high enough to dunk and I try it 1,000 times, I will never get it. So that's the difference between wild and dialed for me. And that works the same if I have a 2% chance. The Discord link in the description is expired. What the curses? I'll edit that whenever I get a chance, or as soon as I end this. Now, that being said, jumping, practicing dunking can make it to where you get that. So I recommend people try both. Like people that learn to dunk in basketball, they don't just not shoot. So I highly recommend that you practice both wild and dialed. I think they're very important. Maybe just try wild a few days a week and dialed the rest. Try dialed all the time, milds and sesiles and all those things. You don't have to do everything every single day, but I do recommend that you do things at least 4 days a week. So I highly recommend working 4 days a week. 4 days a week because every day you're going to be getting better or worse at lucid dreaming. That's just the way that life works. Now, if I do it 4 days a week, that means 4 days a week I'm getting better, 3 days a week I'm getting worse. And it also, I'd say that the amount that you get worse I'm back. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I had to go away to fix the sound. Freaking A. I thought I fixed that this time. It's my alarm to go pick up my daughter in like 30 minutes. So I thought I changed the alarm to be going off in like 20 minutes, but apparently not. You see and hear me. That's perfect. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. So yeah, now that you guys have been here for an hour, I have to tell you something. I was originally going to run the sound through these headphones, but I didn't do that. Phelps said he went to the pool every day because even 1 day off, people statistically take multiple days to recover from lap times. Yeah, you can look at it. You can look at it two different ways, right? Now, Phelps is trying to be the best in the world. Okay, it's a little bit different. He is a competitor. He was in the competition. He was trying to do better than everyone else. So even you can look at it as 1 day takes multiple days to recover from lap times, right? Or you can look at it as even working out one time is going to increase it more than it would. Like it'll slow down your rate of decrease, right? Like it's just all right. We're gonna go here because I can't do this with just words. So if I push up 1 day, not push up, but like, push up my ability one day. And then it slowly gets worse every single day that I don't do it. And then I push it up again. It's worse every day I don't do it, right? But I'm saying that you want to do it more days than you don't, because so like taking 4 days off, it's going to be worse than taking 3 days off. If I take 3 days off, what is that sound? If I take 3 days off, then I'll decrease this much. If I take 1 day off, I'll decrease this much. If I take no days off, it won't decrease, right? It'll just keep going up. But if I have to take days off, right? I am not superhuman. I don't recommend taking days off for lucid dreaming. I just recommend taking lighter days and harder days. So then, you take boop, 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 boop. And what I'm saying is you do 4 ups a week and 3 down, right? And at the end of the week, you should be a little higher than you were the next week. No problem. Get some sleep. What's up, Arrow?
What's Sizzle's habitat?
I don't know, man. I'll talk to you about it later, okay? If anybody knows Sizer's habitat, please put it in the description. Now, obviously, if I go up 7 days, it's going to be a lot better. But if I go down 7 days, it's going to be a lot worse. So, yes, it'll take a little bit to recover from this down. We can see that right there. But it'll also take a little bit to recover from that up, to recover backwards. I'm just saying, people really like to go all or nothing. They're like, well, I need to, practice like Phelps, every single day. It's the same thing. Like, I mean, the dude swam for 8 hours a day or more than that. I can't even remember. I remember listening to Michael Jordan saying, like, why I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning is because he'll play basketball for 2 hours, then he'll have 2 hours to recover, and then he'll play basketball for 2 hours and have 2 hours to recover. And he would do that, I think, 4 times a day, right? So he'd end up playing basketball for 8 hours a day, which usually, if you just wake up and try to play basketball for 8 hours, you'd have trouble. So it's like, oh man, I could do so much better if I, worked like he did. He got paid to do that, right? Like, this is not like, there's obviously going to be a better and a worse way to do it. There's obviously going to be the extreme super Uberman that just like goes nuts and does it insanely. And when I first started lucid dreaming, I was like that. Like, I took no days off. I never stopped. I thought about it constantly. I cut every single hobby out. And I don't know if that was extremely helpful or not, but it is what it is, and it seemed to help. But is it something that you can actually do? And if you don't have good results, or if you have very okay results, then it may run you out of energy sooner, and you might quit sooner than if you were just doing an amount that you can do for about a year. So, any more questions? I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Who's habitat? Sizer, Scizor. My son's just asking me about Pokemon Arceus. I don't know if there is a Sizer habitat or if you have to evolve them from Sizer. But yeah, I was saying if anybody just knows it right off the top of their head, you can shout it out, no problem. How aware? About 47.3. I never quite know how to answer these questions. I feel like how much, how many, things like that. Like, it's really difficult when it comes to lucid dreaming. You want to be aware enough that you fall asleep, but also, no. You want to be aware enough that you don't lose consciousness, but also you want to be unaware enough that you fall asleep. And that's going to look different for each person. And then there's Allen Iverson, who barely practiced. Probably the only player. That dude was nuts. Some people just have it, man. How would you combine practice with 6 hours of school a day plus studying at home, etc.? that is, I guess, I don't know. I just never struggled with that. Like, I always thought that was interesting. Like, you do kind of however much you can. Like, whenever I first started, as I said, I was try hard. I was doing all of these things. I was also working full time and going to college full time. So Monday through Friday, I was at school from 1 to 10. I also had 14 hours of, so I had full time work, and then I had 14 hours of, um, 14 hours of extra work to do tutoring so that I could pay for my college. Um, so then, like, so 40 hours a week plus 1 to 10, 4 days a week. So it's 9 times, so it's 36 hours a week. So it's 70, whatever. 76 hours a week plus, I was married. So, I mean, that took some time as well. Sundays, I would generally be at friends' family's house. So, like, just the time adds up very fast whenever you're doing stuff like that. So you have to be able to do things around them, right? Like, so you do school a day, maybe in between classes. You know what I mean? Do some. I wouldn't say do smile, maybe, or I wouldn't say do smile or anything like that, or mild as it is, or reality checks. Do some sporadic awareness technique. Try to do it once per class or twice per class. You know what I mean? Just like stop and do it. You might miss a tiny bit of the lecture, but I think you'll be fine. Then, in between class, maybe do smile. I guess that would be a time to do smile. Maybe I'm going to kill this thing. Anyways, how do I set intention to remember my dreams? Because bad recall. I feel like I have some energy that I like direct towards remembering my dreams. I don't know how else to describe it. I used to use words like next time I wake up, I would remember I was dreaming. I used to use words like, I remember I would use self affirmations and stuff like that. Seal the book. I used to have a dream journal. I would write down in every single day, a written dream journal. I'm going to have a new effective dream journal. It's going to be the Dream Journal 2.0. And I think a lot of people are going to like it. I'm going to try to make that video this week. It will not be heavily edited or anything like that. It's just going to be informative and what I can show people. Like, this is the kind of system that you can use to get much, much better recall. And a system that doesn't require a lot of recall to start. I think a lot of people do less work the less recall they have, because if you have a really nice dream, you write down that nice dream. So you spent 20 minutes writing that day. If you have a really bad dream, you spend 1 minute writing that day. And so the worse your recall is, the worse your recall gets. And the better it is, the better it gets, which is not extremely helpful for everyone. So yeah, Levac, I would just say going around everything. But yeah, you got to go. So it's just, you got to make time. Life is always going to be there. Life is always going to be in the way. You have to make time for things to be in between life. I will talk to you guys later. I think this is everything. Hopefully it's pretty good, like beginner's questions all throughout. I hope I answered them well. I think I did. I don't know. Yeah, I will see you guys on Thursday for a new stream. And hopefully I can get that video working like this at the beginning. Bye.